Minnesota lawmakers are asking Congresswoman Ilhan Omar to respond by Tuesday regarding questions about a statewide child nutrition fraud scheme.
Well, the court exhibits from Feeding Our Future show in the exhibit list different communications between her office and some of her staffers and Feeding Our Future defendants. And that is the information we're trying to get.
The deadline is coming. Welcome back to the channel. So we're going to talk about Ilhan Omar. Tomorrow is the big deadline. This $250 million fraud scheme. And there's a committee out there that is running out of patience. So if you haven't subscribed yet, most of you guys who watch this are not subscribed. Hit that button because this is the kind of story we're going to continue to follow to the very, very end. Let's get into it. So this is a situation we talked about this a couple of days ago, but tomorrow is the big deadline. The Minnesota House Fraud Prevention and State Oversight Committee sent Ilhan Omar a formal request. They want her written and electronic communications related to the Feeding Our Future program. If you do not know what the Feeding Our Future program is, where you been? That's the $250 million federal child nutrition fraud scheme that has rocked Minnesota, had fake sites, fake kids, but real stolen money.
In March 2020, early in the pandemic, a small group of people in Minnesota had an idea and saw an opportunity. These individuals believed that they could steal tens of millions of dollars from a federal child nutrition program by claiming to serve food to needy children when they were not. Their goal was to make as much money for themselves as they could while falsely claiming to feed children during the pandemic. As their plan met with initial success, they were joined by many others who also wanted to make money by falsely claiming to feed needy children. Before long, the scheme that began with a simple idea in March of 2020 grew to become the largest pandemic fraud in the United States. Today, we are announcing charges against 47 defendants in 6 indictments and 3 informations. The defendants are charged with federal crimes including conspiracy, wire fraud, money laundering, and paying and receiving illegal kickbacks.
In one of the biggest sites in the entire case, the Safari restaurant, the spot where Ilhan Omar was a regular holding campaign events, its owners just pled guilty. So now the committee wants to know what Omar's office was saying to these people. Let's hear from the committee chair herself.
She certainly owes it to Minnesota taxpayers and families to respond to our questions. And so I'm still hoping, but if not, the committee will examine all our options and we will continue to press for it because she created the program, the Meals Act, that took the guardrails off the school nutrition program that created the conditions for all this fraud. And she should come and answer our questions.
Will you try to subpoena her?
So we will look at all the options. We'll see what happens next week in committee.
Assuming that she doesn't respond, and I'm not sure that she would. I mean, given she's a member of Congress, it doesn't seem that the committee has actual authority to get her to show up. Let's assume she does not respond. Will the committee be pursuing a subpoena on Wednesday?
So we are looking at all the options.
So you see right there, she created a program, the Meals Act. That is not just one small allegation. That is the committee chair of the Fraud Oversight Committee saying on camera that the legislative conditions for a $250 million fraud was set up by the very congresswoman they're trying to question.
First, the defendants obtained over $250 million from the child nutrition program through Feeding Our Future. This money was to be used to feed needy children in Minnesota. Instead, it was used primarily for the benefit of the defendants. And this $250 million is the floor. Our investigation continues. They used this money that was supposed to be used for feeding children to buy houses in Minnesota, resort property and real estate in Kenya and Turkey, luxury cars, commercial property, jewelry, and much more.
You can check out the Meals Act. You can look at what the guardrails were removed. There's a paper trail that exists independent of anyone's feelings about Omar. This is not just some random critic. This is a sitting state rep chairing a fraud committee with the subpoena conversations already on the table. So these receipts are real. Now here's where it gets interesting because the anchor pushed back and asked directly, is this fact-finding or political pressure on a high-profile Democrat? And the chair did not flinch.
Is this about fact-finding or is this about putting political pressure on a high-profile Democrat?
This is about getting the truth. That's what we want. We want the truth. For far too long in Minnesota, people were afraid to tell the truth about the fraud problem. And when they did, they were retaliated against. And we have said that will no longer stand. We're going to tell the truth.
That line right there, retaliated against. We have already covered this. We have covered the whistleblowers in Minnesota, the people who raised flags on Feeding Our Future, and they got buried. That is documented. That happened. So when the chair of the fraud committee says out loud that the truth tellers were punished and that era is over, that is a direct signal to every source, every witness, to every cooperating party that's still sitting on information. The tables have turned. Come talk to them. And for Omar's team to frame all this as some politically motivated, while the courts exhibit literally lists communications between her office and the Feeding Our Future defendants, scammers, that is not a defense. That is more of a deflection. Like I said, court exhibits. This is not rumors. This is not tweets. It's not some blog post. Court exhibits filed in federal proceedings show communications between Omar's office, her staffers, and the people who have been since charged and convicted in this $250 million fraud. The committee is not making this up. They're asking legitimate questions. What was the nature of those communications? Did the office know that the guardrails were gone? Did they encourage participation? Were they steering people to these sites? We don't know the answers yet, but the question is now court documented, and eventually the public needs to know what exactly was going on.
Was your committee briefed by federal authorities before those raids took place, or were you watching them unfold on the news like everyone else?
No, we watch it on the news like everyone else. I have a great relationship with our federal partners, and we certainly share information with them as we get it because we want them to have all information for their investigations. But once they start looking at something, we find out just like everybody else.
20 locations, daycare centers, FBI raids. And it's interesting that the state committee found out watching the news just like the rest of us. Who knows if that's even true, but regardless, notice what she said. We share information with federal partners. So that's a two-way pipeline. The feds are moving, the state committee is moving, and Omar's team is sitting on a Tuesday deadline hoping this will go away, and it probably won't. So this is the big news we're waiting for tomorrow. We have a congresswoman who wrote legislation that critics say opened the door to fraud, whose office appeared on the court record on the biggest fraud case in Minnesota's history, is now facing a deadline with a committee that is not backing down. So we're going to see exactly what's going to happen. Will she provide these communications to the committee chair? I'm going to guess and say no. If I had to guess, she's not. It's going to have to be forced. I don't see that she's going to just give away these communications because most likely she probably participated in some of this fraud. But we will check it out and see what happens tomorrow. If anything happens, we'll definitely document it here. Appreciate all of you guys for checking out this channel. We're nearing 90,000 subscribers. We appreciate all your support. Thank you for taking time to watch this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video.